Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our nightly news edition. Here are the headlines. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, receives more congratulations coming from world leaders on the occasion of his re-election for a second term. On behalf of the President of the Republic, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, National Defense Minister, the Army General Saeed Shingriha, the PNA Chief of Staff, officially installed General Rushdi Fethi Musawi as the Director General of Documentation and External Security. From New York, the Foreign Affairs Minister Ahmed Attaf calls for reconsidering the role of the UN Security Council given the mounting crisis, conflicts, and wars. And Morocco always in turmoil with waves of citizens trying to flee the country given the harsh living conditions they are subject to. Welcome back. We begin with the congratulation messages the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, is still receiving following his re-election for a second term. First off, the President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Félix Tshisekedi, congratulated President Tebboune on his behalf and on behalf of the Congolese people for his re-election, qualifying it as a reflection of the trust of the Algerian people in him. On the same occasion, the President of the DRC expressed his government's keenness to promote the friendship and cooperation ties between both countries, wishing the President health and success in his tasks. For his end, the King of Denmark, Frederik Henrik Andre Christian, also congratulated the President of the Republic in a message that reads, "Your Excellency, please accept my warmest congratulations to you on your re-election as President of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria. I express to you, Mr. President, my happiness over the positive level reached by bilateral relations between the two countries and my readiness to work to their continuity. My wishes to you and the Algerian people for further progress and prosperity," concluded the message. The President of the Republic of Romania, Klaus Iohannis, sent a congratulatory message to Abdelmajid Tebboune on the occasion of his re-election for a new term in the presidential elections of September 7, 2024. The Romanian President confirmed to the President his conviction that the relations of cooperation and friendship between the two countries will continue to develop in a way that serves the two peoples, wishing President Tebboune and the Algerian people all the best. Olaf Scholz, Federal Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany, congratulated on his part the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, on his re-election for a new term as President of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria, stressing that the German government is ready to develop bilateral relations between Algeria and Germany. On behalf of the President of the Republic, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and Minister of National Defense, Army General Saeed Shingriha, Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, chaired this Wednesday, September 25th, the official installation ceremony of General Rushdi Fethi Musawi as Director General of Documentation and External Security, replacing Major General Mhenna Jabbar. Further details with Manal Maaf.
On behalf of the President of the Republic, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense, Army General Saeed Shingriha, Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, chaired this Wednesday, September 25th, the official installation ceremony of General Rushdi Fethi Musawi as Director General of Documentation and External Security, replacing Major General Mhenna Jabbar.
باسم السيد رئيس الجمهورية القائد الأعلى للقوات المسلحة وزير الدفاع الوطني.
In his speech on the occasion and in accordance with the Presidential Decree of September 19, 2024, Army General Saeed Shingriha, and on behalf of the President of the Republic, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense, he officially appointed General Rushdi Fethi Musawi as Director General of Documentation and External Security, replacing Major General Mhenna Jabbar. He instructed the staff to work under his authority, follow his orders and instructions in the interest of the service, and in accordance accordance with the military regulations and the laws of the Republic, and in loyalty to the sacrifices of our valiant martyrs and the values of our glorious revolution. This occasion was an opportunity for the Army General to provide the staff of this directorate with a set of instructions to continue their dedicated efforts in serving Algeria and safeguarding its vital interests. He urged them to fully support their new leader and assist him in fulfilling his duties, committing to their responsibilities with the necessary rigor and perseverance. The Army General hailed the qualities of Major General Jabbar Mhanna and the significant roles he held within the military institution, being among those who dedicated their lives to the service of the nation and the defense of the Republic. He successfully accomplished his duties with skill and demonstrated throughout his career high competence, professionalism, and strong ability to meticulously handle various matters. Later on, the Army General oversaw the official signing of the handover protocol.
On to the government meeting chaired by the Premier Nadir Al-Arbawi and devoted to monitoring the start of the school and university year, as well as examining a draft executive decree setting the conditions and procedures for the approval, operation, and control of private education and teaching establishments. Furthermore, and pursuant to the directives of the President of the Republic relating to the organization of foreign trade, the government reviewed ways to strengthen the regulatory framework for the protection and promotion of the national economy through the regulation of imports and exports and the consolidation of the economic balances. In order to avoid an imbalance in the national market in the same context, the government completed the examination of the draft executive decree relating to persons authorized to declare retail goods. Finally, the government examined a draft executive decree establishing the conditions and modalities for the acquisition of public promotional housing. At the level of the Security Council, Algeria renewed today its call to mobilize efforts and even double them in order to restore the role of the Security Council in the United Nations. In light of the acute crisis affecting international multilateral action, the Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf reviewed during a session on the subject a number of facts that point to the fact that the state of rift that has affected the collective security system. Here's Salim Merah.
Algeria advocated on Wednesday for reconsidering the role of the UN Security Council, having now a set of emergency files on its agenda without having the possibility to deal with them in an efficient way. Attaf called for stepping efforts to give a new impetus to this world institution so as to accomplish its immense duties in the best possible conditions. According to Algeria's Foreign Affairs Minister, this move requires the implementation of the UN resolutions and holding responsible all those who obstruct those resolutions or reject them, going against the will of the international community. Attaf highlighted the humanitarian character of the UN Security Council that has to be preserved, notably regarding the Palestinian cause. Ahmed Attaf held also a flurry diplomatic activity to this effect. He chaired the meeting of the A3+ group, bringing together the three non-permanent African countries within the UN Security Council, namely Algeria, Sierra Leone and Mozambique, in addition to Guyana. Bound with excellent relations with the African continent, Somalia, due to replace Mozambique starting from next January, attended as well this meeting. On the sidelines of his participation in the UN General Debate, Attaf held a series of bilateral meetings with figures representing brotherly and friendly countries, including Saudi Arabia, Somalia, Nicaragua, Slovakia, and Estonia. These meetings allowed Attaf to review with these personalities bilateral cooperation in addition to a set of international issues and files of common interest, particularly the situation unfolding in the Middle East region.
That was Salim Mirah's report, voiced by Manal Maafa. In other news, the Algerian state filed a complaint at the Paris Judicial Court for the airing of fake news. This was against European Deputy Sarah Knafo of the Reconquête Party. The European Deputy Sarah Knafo is the partner of Éric Zemmour, convicted for racial hatred, known for the anti-immigration and especially anti-Algeria positions. The General Directorate of Communication at the Presidency of the Republic clarifies that the Directors General of the Algerian News Agency and the Radio and Television Broadcasting Corporation continue to exercise the tasks entrusted to them normally and in an acceptable manner. The issue of missing people in Western Sahara is once again reviewed by the UN, putting for the first time Morocco in a position of examination for enforced disappearance and the denial of the right of the Sahrawis to self-determination. More details in this report.
Since the invasion of Western Sahara in 1975, Morocco has always faced serious accusations related to enforced disappearances to oppress the Sahara people and deny their right to self-determination. A commission in charge of human rights in Western Sahara indicated in a report that those behind these disappearances have never been brought before justice. They even have influential positions within the Moroccan army without being punished, a cruel fact that created a climate of fear among the Sahrawis. The 114-page report handed to the UN Human Rights Commission, the Sahrawi civil society, backed with the support of the Norwegian Commission backing Western Sahara, denounces the systematic violations of the Moroccan authorities in Western Sahara, urging for the creation of an independent body to be entrusted with carrying out investigations concerning these crimes. Ghalia Jimmy, a former victim of enforced disappearances, reported about the devastating impacts of such practices before the UN Commission, depicting the intimidation climate prevailing among the families victimized by these enforced disappearances. Given the lack of international control and the prohibition of accessing the Western Sahara territories since 2015, the work group in charge of human rights in Western Sahara issued a report in June 2024 calling for an emergency intervention to protect the human rights in this colonized region.
Fears are mounting of another migrant surge on Ceuta from Morocco, with new social media calls for a renewed attempt just 10 days after hundreds tried to breach the border. This ongoing tension highlights a growing desperation among many Moroccans. Manan Maf.
In these images shared widely on social media, a massive deployment of the Makhzen security forces can be seen hunting down young Moroccans in what is considered one of the largest escape attempts towards the Spanish enclave of Ceuta. These young migrants chose to risk their lives crossing the sea to reach Spain rather than falling into the hands of the Makhzen's enforcers.
ومقطعين وكنتسلفوا باش نوصلوا لهنا. علاش لا خدمه لا والو ودوايه في الشكاره هاز الدواء ومريض ومسخسخ ومدقدق علاش باش نخرج وانا راه كنجلس حدا امي ملي كنشوفها ما عندها ما تاكل وما كاين لا خدمه وكندخل ومقلقه وكاعيه عليا وما كاينه لا خدمه لا والو راه والله ما نمشي وما لقاش الخدمه ونعيط لها نقول لها راني لاباس وبعيد عليها وما نجلسش حداها وكتموت عرق بعرق.
This collective escape reflects the overwhelming frustration of Moroccans plunged into deep despair and a youth desperate for justice and hope.
ما كرهتش انا نمشي لها ونهز ولدي ونمشي لها اخويا كانت عندي الفلوس دابا من دابا تلقاني اخويا مشيت والله حتى معذبين صحتنا مهرسين في كتافنا وما لقينا باش نداوى اخويا معذبين هما الغلاء بزاف وما خدامين ما ردامين وانا خدمه واخد شي خدمه ب70 درهم والو ما لقيناهاش ومعذبين اخويا.
In Morocco, clandestine migration has increasingly become a form of social protest in response to the deteriorating living conditions. 10 days after the mass escape attempt on September 15th, new calls are circulating for another push toward the Spanish enclave of Ceuta. These calls, widely shared by thousands on social media, have set the next attempt for Monday, September 30th.
المسؤول اخويا هما دوك الناس راه قهرونا اخويا وحق الرب العظيم يشحشوهم راه عيينا والله يشعينا قسما بالله.
As Moroccans continue to live under constant political, social and economic oppression, the country's institutions appear largely absent and unresponsive.
البرلمان راك عارفين 40 برلماني راهم دابا مقبوطين اللي في المخدرات واللي في الفساد واللي نهبوا الاموال وباقيين وحدين اخرين حتى هما جايين لهذه المؤسسه غير باش يسخروا المؤسسات ديال الدوله من اجل اثراء غير مشروع. نساو بان كاين الظلم، نساو بان كاين الفساد، نساو بان كاين البزناسه.
Completely disconnected from reality, Mohammed VI, living a life of luxury, has turned his back on a people mired in an unprecedented crisis in a country now under constant strain. For the monarch, more focused on displacing Moroccans for his personal projects, compensating the victims of floods and earthquake seems to be the least of his concerns.
هما دابا حابسيننا ولادنا ما بقاوش كيقراو حبسوا لنا المدارس فين غادي يقراو مدرسه ما كايناش ريبونا وخلوا لنا النص ديال الحوايج ماشي الحوايج كاملين النص ديال الحوايج هما في الزنقه هما محطوطين جاو قالوا لنا خرجوا من الدار صافي خرجوا لا ما بغيتش تخرج غنريب عليك وفعلا هما ريبوا على الحوايج
ما كيعقلوش على المواطنين نهائيا ما عاقلينش على المواطنين نهائيا مضيعينهم مشردين ولادهم شتوهم ما خلاهم ما داروا هاد الناس والله ياخذ الحق.
The Makhzen regime, criticized for its authoritarian and repressive rule, is now facing widespread social unrest and is rocked by a series of scandals, corruption, bribery, espionage, and efforts to circumvent international law have all made headlines even within the European Parliament. Despite normalization agreements with the Zionist entity, the Makhzen finds itself more isolated than ever on the international stage.
On to the operational report of the People's National Army's activity in the past week. In the context of the fight against terrorism, detachments of the People's National Army killed 2 terrorists and recovered a semi-automatic rifle, Simonov, and other items in a qualitative operation in Tbilisi. In the same context, and thanks to efforts of units of the People's National Army, the terrorist Oulad al-Bakai Mohammed, known as Hamma, surrendered to the military authorities in Burj Mukhtar in the 6th Military Region, in possession of a Kalashnikov, a quantity of ammunition, and other items. Other detachments arrested 12 support elements to terrorist groups during separate operations across the national territory. In the framework of the fight against organized crime and the continuation of the tireless efforts aimed at countering the scourge of drug trafficking in our country, combined detachments of the PNA intercepted in coordination with the different security services in operations across the military regions 30 drug traffickers and averted attempts to introduce 11 quintals of processed keef through the borders with Morocco, while 13 kilograms of cocaine and over 862,000 psychotropic tablets were seized. In Tamrat, Burj Mukhtar, in Saleh and Tindouf, detachments of the People's National Army arrested 237 individuals and seized 17 vehicles, 92 generators, 42 jackhammers, quantities of mixture of raw gold and stones, explosives, detonation tools, and other equipment used in illegal gold mining operations. On the other hand, 15 other individuals were arrested: Kalashnikov submachine gun, 5 automatic pistols, 10 hunting rifles, 76,700 liters of fuel, as well as 68 quintals of tobacco and 386 tons of foodstuffs intended for smuggling and speculation were seized. Similarly, border guards sorted at the level of our national coasts attempts at illegal immigration of 176 individuals aboard traditionally made boats, while 288 illegal immigrants of different nationalities were arrested across the national territory. The Zionist escalation on Lebanon continues, and its warplanes launched a new wave of intensive air raids, during which 51 mortars were killed and more than 200 others were wounded in successive Zionist raids since dawn today on separate areas. Overall, the death toll reached 569 martyrs and over 1,835 wounded, in a toll that is expected to rise. As for Palestine and the developments of the brutal genocide on Gaza Strip, the Zionist war machine reopened fire dawn today towards the northern areas of Boraij camp in the middle of the Strip. The Zionist occupation also committed new massacres that resulted in the death of 28 Palestinians and the injury of 85 others in violent raids on the center and south of the Strip, while 11 Palestinians were martyred, including 4 children, and others were injured in violent Zionist bombing targeting a house in Nusayrat in the middle of Gaza Strip. And with that, we end tonight's bulletin. Thank you for watching. Be well.